Welcome to the latest video in our digital strategy series in partnership with digital expert Project and security and identity management providers OKTA. In each video, we'll be discussing a different element of digital strategy, from how to map it out to how to operate ambitiously within your means. A digital strategy is a vital tool for charities, helping them to develop the digital skills, tools, and resources they need to achieve their mission and ultimately improve their impact. There are many different factors that go into creating a digital strategy, and it will be different for every charity and indeed every budget. We spoke to Joey Ceunen, Chief Technology Officer at Carefree, a charity that harnesses digital technology to provide much needed breaks for carers. We discussed how Carefree has delivered its digital strategy on a shoestring budget using no-code platforms. Hi, Joe, and welcome.
Hello, Lisa. Thank you.
Lovely to meet you. And can you tell us a bit more about your role and Carefree?
Yeah, for sure. So I was just thinking before the video how long I've been with Carefree, and in February it will have been 4 years, which was quite shocking. I have a bit of a mixed background in hospitality and tech startups. I exited 2 startups myself, one in e-commerce and investment and one in tech health, and then had a bit of a break and then ran into Charlotte, our CEO for Carefree. Really got on, and she kind of asked me to try and help Carefree, bring Carefree to the next level and reach as many of those unpaid carers in the UK as we can. So yeah, that's 4 years ago now since I've started. I started as product manager, and then I've been CTO for I think 2.5 years now. And yeah, sky's the limit now with our new platform, which I can't wait to tell you more about.
Super. Looking forward to it. Yes, so can you tell us a bit more about your digital strategy? When did you start and developing it in its current form?
Yeah, so I would say, so when I joined Carefree, I'd been running for just over 2 years, I think, and we had some serious beta testing done already, so lots of really valuable information. But it was quite clear at that point that building custom tech, which, as you might know, is very expensive to not only design, but also to maintain. And we realized at that point that wasn't really feasible for us as a charity. So there are just over 9 million unpaid carers in the UK, and about 2 million of them are full-time and unpaid, and those are our beneficiaries. So our goal is for all of those people, all of those 2 million plus full-time unpaid carers in the UK to get access to a break. We do that by transforming unsold hotel rooms into vital breaks, holidays for those unpaid carers. To throw some more stats at you, there's about 1 million empty rooms every week in the UK, empty hotel rooms. So we're asking from our hospitality partners, of which we have just over 130 hotels now, to donate a small percentage of those unsold rooms, which has zero value to them, to us, and we then transform that into breaks for our carers. There's lots of complex procedures around making that happen. In combination with the majority of our stakeholder group, our unpaid carers, not liking to use technology, we had to kind of really think about what's that balance between making sure we hold our carers' hands as much as we can without not creating too much pressure on us, on our customer support team, and us keeping everything quite lean and flexible, but also not creating too much operational pressure for our hospitality partners, because they so generously donate unsold hotel rooms to us. How do we make that process as quickly and as easy as possible? And one of the things we explored just before I joined was to build custom integrations with property management systems for hotels, so their booking systems. But turns out there's thousands of them. Building one custom integration is extremely complicated and expensive, not to just build, but also to maintain. And on top of that, the platform that we had to create for our carers had to be really customized to making sure that we, the inventory that was gifted to us, that we had available to us, that as many carers as possible would be exposed to them, would be able to kind of fit that around all of their caring needs as well, and about all of their responsibilities. So that was the main challenge. I think the aims for the strategy were really to make it as custom as possible, I think, for our carers, while also minimizing the operations for the different hotels and for ourselves as well. So finding that balance between personalized hand-holding and automating. And yeah, that was our aim, really, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Now, thank you for providing all that background. And so, how were you able to develop that seemingly complex solution and implement your digital strategy as a whole without breaking the bank?
Yeah, so we are still a tiny team. There's only 7 of us. And very early on, Charlotte, our CEO, kind of identified custom is too expensive, too complicated. Our way forward is using no-code tools, which has been just extremely important for us and has always been. The no-code, I happen to have experience in it by accident without even really realizing that that's the technology I was using in my previous companies. Charlotte kind of identified that and said, "Can you please apply that to what you're doing, what we're doing?" And these no-code tools, this is now almost 4 years ago. It was at its infancy. It's very new. It was quite unknown, but since then have just really boomed. And we kind of early on saw it as this really strong potential leverage of using technology. In theory, every specific no-code software that we were working with had this whole team of engineers behind just that one little element. So our challenge was to connect all of the different tools up together with in between tools like Zapier and Make, and I can give you a whole list. At some point, we had over 35 tech partners and tools and no-code tools that we kind of had integrated into our tech architecture. So we've reduced that a lot now, but I think the power with no-code is that you can quickly build something out, test something out, build a minimum viable product, see how that works, push it into with our users, be very responsive to how they're using it, be very responsive to their feedback that we hear from them. And because most of this is done in-house, it's very easy to respond to that feedback as well and really kind of implement those changes almost instantly without having to rely on big expensive agencies or developers and stuff like that. Because at that point, we just couldn't afford a developer, for example, because they're not cheap, obviously. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, and I like the fact that you highlighted as well the fact that you were flexible and agile in your approach, because you were able to affect the feedback and all the comments, or not instantly, but very, very quickly to get a good product. And what has been the biggest lesson in delivering digital on a shoestring?
I think the first thing that comes up in my mind is just to not overcomplicate it. What we're trying to do is very new. There's nothing that exists like it. So it's okay to make faults, and it's okay to like push something out, test it. If it doesn't work, pull it back in and try something new. We have 4 main stakeholder groups. So obviously our unpaid carers are our main biggest one. We've got about 18,000 verified unpaid carers on the books now. For us to verify them, there's this very sophisticated self-referral flow that we've built from scratch, and that literally evolved from picking up the phone, sending manual emails, doing little interviews, checking the emails, to a fully automated process online with lots of stages in between. And I think we're on like iteration version number 4 at the moment. If you count the picking up the phone as one version, which it definitely is. So that's a big product within our carer stakeholder groups. And then once they're verified, they get access to our Breaks Hub, which is kind of like a booking.com. Not as sophisticated as booking.com, but that's the whole point. We want to make it as simple and as minimal as possible. But I think Steve Jobs that at some point said technology is only useful when it becomes invisible. So our platform, although it looks extremely simple, it's super customized to the needs of our carers and how they like to use technology. And so I'm digressing, but so that's one of our stakeholder groups are unpaid carers. So they have their own online platform, their own registration process. Then we have our hospitality partners that donate the rooms to us. So they also have their own web app. So it's their whole interface where they see which carers have requested a break. They can respond to those requests. They can access the details. We have impact reporting there. But then there's this whole layer of marketing and PR as well. So we provide them with testimonials that we collect from a different point in the flow for our care user group. We do digital assets for them that they can access via the platform, and then lots of impact reporting that they can shout about as well.
Yes,
we are trying to be this turnkey ESG solution for hospitality partners, so they can also create value for themselves from those unsold rooms. So it's a total win-win situation. But again, that platform started via email, where every month we would send a Word document, we would type it out from Excel sheets offline, and now that's a fully fledged online interface that they can log into, export reports, documents, emails, confirm, and do everything that we did manually, they can do online now as well.
Yes, and it's automated.
It's
Now
fully automated.
And it's fully automated. Now that's really that sounds really strong and powerful. And obviously it's taken perhaps some skills, but ultimately it has been done under a constrained budget and you've achieved so much.
Yeah. And it's really keeping it simple and trusting that stuff will work out. And you sometimes when you're doing things that haven't been done before, you need to just have that trust that that things will work out. And I think this, I don't know if you'd call it a strategy, but that we had to have this trust 2, 3, 4 years ago that the no-code tools that we were working with were still quite limited in their capacity and the things that they could do. But we had this trust that they would evolve with us at the same time. So a big part of the strategy would have also been to really build those one-on-one relationships with the companies that we work with. And so our main, I would say we've got like 4 main tech partners now that we have that are proper mega companies now that we have been embedding with and really spending time with, trying to develop those relationships one-on-one with for over the last 4 or 5 years. And they have now we've now gotten to a place where not only have they grown, they've really listened to our needs as well and really are responsive to what we as their users were looking for as well. And I feel with charities, there's such an untapped market within technology, and there's so many charities that struggle with building custom tech for exactly the reasons we've been discussing, because it is very expensive and difficult to do so.
Time-consuming,
Totally, and no one has time, no one has the resources to spend loads of time, and no code is really that gateway into let's try something out, keep it simple, see how our users respond, and kind of build from there. And our whole platform is now 100% built on no code. So the first 2 years that I joined, we had a small custom element that we maintained with an engineer in Argentina, and again we had a great relationship with them, but it was so restrictive to us, and it was so slow to make changes to it because we had no internal knowledge about them. And so if you're so dependent on that niche bit of knowledge, it's very difficult to be responsive. Exactly. And no code again allows you to keep the majority of your work in-house, because a lot of it is quite logical, and it's quite easy for someone to be trained into those tools because they are much more user-friendly than programming stuff from scratch.
No, absolutely. That's that's really really important. Well, thank you very much, Joe. And what final advice would you give other organizations in the process of creating a digital strategy on a budget?
I think it's this analogy of I've mentioned it a couple of times, not overcomplicating it. And
Yeah,
it's this
keep
analogy
it
with
simple.
pushing out, keep it simple, stupid. That's a kiss.
Yes, yeah.
There's this other analogy where they say you push out your skateboard. Have you heard of that? Push out your skateboard, simple plank with 4 wheels, push it out, see how people respond to it, and keep adding those little features one by one. But while keeping things simple and functional without being too worried about it being perfect. Push
Yeah.
that skateboard out, bulk it out, upgrade the wheel, add a steering wheel, add a new chassis, and keep adding until you have. And I would say we're now driving a Cadillac of technology with
Oh,
Carefree.
wow. Yeah.
But we definitely had our little skateboard, and that skateboard broke down a couple of times, and we had to pull in that skateboard again. But don't be too proud, or don't overcomplicate it.
Overcomplicate. Yeah.
Keep it real simple, and sometimes be a bit brave.
Make sure to look out for more videos in this series where we'll be covering more about digital strategy and how charities can make it work for them. We'll link to them below. Thanks for watching.